Hi, I'm Brandon. I am contractually obligated to say that I love When Calls the Heart.
I'm Dan, and it is of my own free will and volition that I tell you that I despise When Calls the Heart, and this is the Deck the Hallmark podcast.
Deck the Hallmark, it's his podcast.
Brandon and friends host this podcast. We hope you like this jolly podcast.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, boy, Brand. Did you think back in whatever year it was, 2020, I'm going to call it, that we decided we're going to do When Calls the Heart? Do you think...
That happened in 2020,
I think we did the ad in 2020, and then we started the EPs in 2021, I think.
Man, COVID really messed us up.
It was really so
It
stupid.
just messed with our
It was the
brain.
dumbest idea.
Yeah.
And now we're here. We don't have a choice.
Yeah.
We're stuck.
When Calls the Heart is our long COVID.
When Calls the Heart is our
It just
long,
got- it
and we
keeps-
don't want to make light of long COVID, but When Calls
sticks
the
with
Heart
you.
it is just
When Calls the
not
Heart
going
sticks
anywhere.
with you. I think we started this episode, and I don't want to get ahead of it, but and Jax is going to be joining us throughout the episode, by the way.
Yes.
But we started this episode.
Ted
and,
has her in an undisclosed location.
and-
There's
yeah.
nothing I can do about that.
And immediately we knew.
We knew. I may have booed before the credits. I mean, I don't want to give away the hot take. It could be anything. It could be I could have been full 180 on When Calls the Heart, but who knows?
Jax is not with us. A little bit of a mix-up.
A merry
from Ted.
mix-up from Ted. Yes.
Ted made a mistake.
Yes.
And
We
were like, we're gonna fly. Well, we talked to Ted. We were like, Ted, we'd love to fly.
talked to Ted on Jax's behalf.
Well,
of course.
we can't.
Yeah,
we couldn't possibly afford
it.
it.
No.
But Ted, we would love to fly her into Greenville for the premiere. That's always fun.
It's fun,
Like it's
yes.
fun.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a
yeah.
big premiere. That'd be
And he
great.
flew her straight to Morocco. It was crazy. I don't know what happened.
So Jax has sent in videos.
Yes.
Sharing her thoughts on it, but she's also sent in a video to kick off our weird part recording that we're doing today, where she's not on the screen like she normally. Anyway, Jax, take it away.
When Calls the Heart, Season 12, Episode 1. Bummed to not be with my boys, but I'm in Senegal helping to build a school, which is almost as good as hanging out with Brandon and Dan, talking about When Calls the Heart. And I'm really excited to be at the Deckies. Hopefully I won't get malaria, but I have been taking malaria pills. So we should be fine.
All right, thanks.
What an intro.
I didn't know that was I didn't think about
that
the
Jax
concern.
can be the same while not being here, you would think correctly. Malaria tangent for no reason whatsoever. She's taken the pills. There's no reason to think.
I wasn't something we were even
She's
thinking
in
about. Now I'm
Senegal.
going to be thinking about it nonstop.
So now we have the enviable task of reviewing
Yes.
just a mindless, inane episode of television, knowing that Jax is in Senegal building a house.
That's right. We are building a house.
Are we?
We're building this house.
This house.
Of
The house of season
house of-
12 of When Calls the
the
Heart.
house of Deck the Hallmark. It's a mighty structure. Sometimes it gets away from you a little bit. There's some weird add-ons, some weird additions where you're like, you couldn't match the same type of materials. That looks weird, but it's a house nonetheless.
It's a house nonetheless. That's right.
Let's talk When Calls the Heart, shall we?
Let's
When
do
Calls
it.
the Heart, season 12, episode 1. It's called
It's never going to be over.
The Mountie Way is what it's
The
called.
Mountie Way.
Originally premiered on the Hallmark Channel on January
yes,
5th,
that's
2025, and the next
Mountie.
day on Hallmark Plus,
wonder
which
about
of course
what-
you get ads on philo.tv/DTH.
I wonder about what's calling my heart. Is that a thing we do and we have
it
locked
is.
and loaded?
Yeah, what's calling my heart?
Great. Just for you.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't forget Hopes and Valleys.
Chicken of the week, even.
So there's this the Mountie. Remember, last season ended on a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
and this guy
dude.
came in and was like, "I've got news about your husband."
Yeah. And so that's
we
going
were
to be a big plot point for the whole season, clearly, right?
And he's like, I got news about your late husband. He tries to make the conversation private, saying, Nathan, you don't got to be a part of this. And then she's like, I want him to be a part of it. So he hands her Jack's Commissioner Medal, which is the highest honor a Mountie can get. They found it while excavating the site where his corpse was still there. And they got it. So that's good. Then, I don't know.
Yeah, they did.
They
were
did.
digging years later.
Dig that
they were
up.
like, let's
We gotta dig Jack up.
We got to dig Jax's corpse up years later.
Yeah.
And we found it.
in the
Yes,
rubble.
of course.
Yes. Paw Patrol. Then this guy, for reasons I don't know, throws some unnecessary shade in the direction of Nathan being with Elizabeth. No one asked you, sir. Stay out of it. Doesn't involve you. Rosemary is upset that Lee is going to be gone for a while planning the park. He's like, I'm not going to do it.
I wouldn't dare.
Now, if I've seen one episode, I've seen them all. Lee's gonna do it. So just buckle up. Comic books have come to town, to Hope Valley, very much to the concern of all the adults. They think it's going to be the
yeah,
thing. You know, all
rot
these
their
kids
brains.
and these violent video games. Lee is pushing back against Lucas's request for him to go to Capital City for the planning because it's not in the best interest of the family. I have baby now.
I have baby.
Rosemary is bothered by the drop of readership of the newspaper due to radio, but she is struck with a genius idea. News radio.
Whoa.
Rosemary is to thank for Alex Jones. Elizabeth goes to talk to Nathan because...
I think a lot of When Calls the Heart viewers will be on board.
What about the frogs? Elizabeth goes to talk to Nathan because she can feel that he feels guilty about the whole Jack thing. Like, he can kind of see it in the face. Like, because if you remember, he was supposed to go on that mission.
He was supposed to lead it, not Jack.
He didn't go.
That's right.
Jack stepped in. Jack died.
Jack is
and
Mountie
rubble.
Jesus.
That's right.
He took your place.
I know. He explains
Mountie's dead.
that the tension here is that he knows one day he's going to have to tell little Jack.
Baby Jack.
Baby
we
Jack.
Going with little puppy Jack. We switched over.
Sorry, baby Jack. That, well, he's not a baby anymore. That his dad, you know, basically he's the reason why his dad's dead. Cadet Oliver Garrett shows up and interrupts this moment and learns his first lesson. Always knock on the door of people in charge, because you don't know what they're doing
Or what level of clothes they have
and
on.
if they're wearing clothes. Kudos to Oliver, though, for not asking why his shirt is halfway buttoned.
Yeah, why he looks disheveled like he and Elizabeth just did whatever.
They didn't.
Behind
They were just having a
closed doors. They
conversation, but it didn't look
certainly
good.
looks like
And
they
then
did.
you say knock.
Yeah.
Mine's going to wander.
Yeah.
Baby Jack is nervous about his first day at school, even though his mom's going to be there the whole time. And Elizabeth gives him Jack's medal to wear just one time. He ends up letting a faithful little girl, I didn't get her name, to wear it because she's also nervous.
Yes.
And now he's a hero.
Yeah, he is.
Lee tries to convince again, guys. Lee's going. I don't know.
He's going.
Lee tries to convince Rosemary that he should go by telling her the good news. They're going to name the park after Goldie.
Oh.
So really, you've pushed. Rosemary has no choice.
Nothing's
here.
more important to her than a park named after her daughter.
100%. So yeah, she said yeah. He hops on a train to LAX with Lucas and is shocked to find out that slime ball from the campaign
with the mustache.
You know the one.
Yes.
He's still around.
Who was originally the tourist mad about the hot springs.
That's right, hot spring. The episode ends with Nathan showing up at night with a case for the medal, and then they go and they look at the moon, they howl, and then they kiss. And that, my friends, was
When Calls the Heart, Season 12, Episode 1,
The
not this
Mountie
again.
Way.
We did it.
Let's do this. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll
Whatever.
break this episode down here on Deck the Home.
Take the home.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It's Deck the Hallmark. We're talking When Calls the Heart again. Jax is not with us live today, but she will still be sharing all of her thoughts.
Of course.
Including the hot
Above
take.
and beyond from Jax.
Including the hot take. It's where we share exactly how he felt about this episode of television. We are not going to hold back. And I will start with Jax on location. Jax, can you hear us?
Okay. Hot take. we've been waiting, or at least I've been waiting for this cliffhanger. What's going to happen? Is Jack still alive, maybe? Is this going to turn into another love triangle just as we got out of our last love triangle? No, Jack isn't alive anymore. Yes, Daniel Lissing and Aaron Craigco were reunited for a Hallmark movie this season, but no, there will be no appearance of Ghost Jack on When Calls the Heart. But they did find his medal, which I did think that this was, although it did feel anticlimactic, I thought this moment with little Jack was so sweet, and the way he took the medal to school and then lent it to Lily, I just thought all of that was adorable and very moving. I thought Nathan and little Jack getting some one-on-one time together, loved all that. Rosemary not wanting to go out of town, I get it. She has a toddler. Like, and look, I love Lucas. You know I love Lucas. But like, why does Lee need to be out of town? I know it's not for that long, but like, who knows what will happen? Okay, so dealing with all that. And then of course I'm missing Maysu and sexy Ben Rosenbaum. Are they on their honeymoon? I guess. Did they say that? Did I miss it? What's going on? Bring them back, please.
Amen.
All right, thank you for that. Initially, I thought she was going to do the whole plot of the episode,
did the synopsis
and I was very worried.
Listen, I'm not gonna try. I'm not gonna pretend that
You're not going to pretend.
I'm not gonna pretend I'm happy. I'm not gonna pretend I'm happy about this. We're here. It's happening. We've made our bed and we have to lie in it. Yeah. And so while I lie in bed at night and I try to fall asleep, I oftentimes put on When Calls the Heart and to put me to sleep. And I also try to think about good things. I think of myself to be a relatively positive person, despite my outbursts on yesterday's program about the Irish movie. I like to think that I'm a positive person, and so I try to find good things about it. And yeah, it's tough out here. It's tough out here because it just
I thought you had a few in the chamber.
No,
I did. I
it
thought you
seems like,
and I can't.
It seems like once again they do this thing where where the season ends and you're like, okay, and then they squash the hope that is, as quick as they possibly can. This is not the first time they have started the season by crushing a potential storyline that could be exciting, and or our guy Gowan going up to the door.
Oh my God, I forgot about
this.
That
This is
one.
a thing they do where I think part of it is they just don't know. They don't actually know what they're going to do in the next season, so they're like, let's just end it in a way where anything is possible, including Jack still being alive. And unless they are going to do the same thing at the end of this season where they set up Jack being alive, I think this is it. I think, we still haven't seen the body, obviously, but we're never going to see the body as Hallmark Channel. So we see the medal. And that, I think, is a bummer. As somebody who is cheering for Jack to come back in some way because we're here, mine as well. Like, why not?
It's season 11 billion. We may as well just do the thing.
Bummed. And at least they do it quick, at least they pull that Band-Aid right off. And the rest of it, nothing so far this season has piqued my interest. Typically there's a storyline here or there that I find intriguing, but so far nothing. If I had to pick one, it would be Rosemary in the radio. Because I like to play radio.
Yeah, of course we all do.
So that's something. But aside from that, I was disappointed, and before I could even get bored, I was disappointed, and then that made it even easier to become bored because I'm just sad. I'm just what it is. It is what it is. We are here, and I'm going to continue to go into every episode thinking there could be something in this episode that's going to make it happen for me. Unfortunately, not in this one. Dano?
Do we know if it's 10 or 12 this year? Is it 10
episodes?
Yeah, I looked on IMDb. It only says 4 that are listed.
It could be anything. Maybe it's 4.
God, that would be
it's an EP.
Well, I just was trying to figure out when I'm going to get the "We're Back, Baby" from you on this.
We'll find
on this
out.
show. If
Yeah.
it's going to be episode 4, episode 6, depending on if it's.
Yeah.
Listen, there is not much in this world worse than a premiere episode of When Calls the Heart. Most surgeries I would probably prefer. This is a show that routinely has enough plot for 3 episodes, and they've jammed that into a 12-episode package for you. It is like having a different CD for every song that you have. It is so ridiculous. So it's already uphill. We've never seen a premiere episode where we're like, this is the ticket. It's always, why don't we wait till next week to get everything started? This show routinely will take 2, 3, 4 episodes to really get the ball rolling on anything of measurable significance that this show has to offer. It is a show that could be, it's virtually could be an email. It's a 2-hour movie, a 3-hour movie, and you got 12 episodes to figure it out. So we're already up against it. As far as premiere episodes go, that are all terrible, right? Every When Calls the Heart first episode is a 0 of 10. In the grand scheme of those, this is the worst one. This is the worst of the worst.
You really think so?
It is, Bran.
Like, but what data do you have to prove that? Can you recall any?
I know that last year I was real angry. We didn't get anything else on Abigail, but at least Gowan comes back. And we
Gowan's
have
in this
Gowan.
episode.
I mean, like,
I'm just saying.
I'm going to throw a flag for illegal use of Gowan. It is so little. He's a borderline extra in this episode of television. We left last season with nowhere to go all day to get there. And the one thing we had is, I need to talk to you about your husband. Turns out he doesn't need to talk to her about her husband. He just needs to give her his medal. That's it. That's it.
What is
There's
there to
nothing
talk?
else.
Like, what do you need to talk to her about? He's still
That's right.
dead.
So my thing is that if a Mountie
No
shows up
up.
and goes, I need to talk to you about your husband, there has to be some new information. Not, we found his medal. That would be, are you the wife of Jack Thornton? We found his medal in the rubble we're digging up. Blah, blah, blah. And then from there, the show gets unwatchable. I imagine if you love this show, and I know people think that I'm just here to make fun of the show as a bit, and I'm just being mean for the sake of being mean. And I promise you that I'm not. This is very difficult for me, and this show is not for me. But trying to empathize with someone who loves this show, I guess you're just excited to see all your old friends, and you don't care if nothing happens. That's the best that I can figure. Is if you,
I think if you're a fan of Nathan Grant of Kevin McGarry,
okay, yeah,
this episode is working.
If
for
you were watching just for Kevin McGarry, then I guess you have a
he's
point.
given some good
because
performances.
There's a lot of him in this episode. He's got the short
in more ways than
sleeve,
one.
and there's the suspenders unbuttoned. I guess you could make a case it's a good Kevin McGarry watching episode. Outside of those folks, if you are here because you like this show and have liked it from the beginning, like if it was me and I liked the characters and the arc, I would skip the first 2 to 5 episodes every year because it is just a miserable, just like slog through this like slew of despond to get us to the starting line of the plot that will take up maybe 80 minutes of this season. And it's not, I hate this thing where it's like Brigadoon where you're just there and you're just living life with people. It's not that. It isn't. It is this weird thing that somehow we're getting all of the extra footage from. Like if it's 4 hours long, then it's like, okay, this was a quaint, chaste, slow-moving television program. But at 12 hours long, we're getting a bunch of stuff that shouldn't have made it to television. And this first episode is just, aside from the Kevin McGarry watching, which is a very good point, is just useless. And I hated it. I hated every second of it. It felt like we watched a full-length movie. When Calls the Heart is bad, nothing is worse. And I think you're with me on that we have to do. When Calls the Heart is bad or boring or uninteresting or disinteresting, There's nothing that we watch. Not an hour and a half long Johnson joint about Niagara Falls. Nothing. It's the worst.
You know what? And Kathleen brings up a good point here. She says, I think some fans are fans of the romance. And I will say one positive of this episode, and it's a thing that we've talked about over the past couple seasons, is Elizabeth has been barely used over the past couple seasons.
That's correct.
We do get a lot of Elizabeth and Nathan in this episode, which if you are a fan of the romance, then I think that's a win. I think this episode's a win for you. I
guess. I guess there's a lot of people who've been waiting a long time for Elizabeth and Nathan to court.
Just kiss a lot.
And I just, that's all well and good. They don't go on a date in this episode. They have 3 scenes together. I guess we can call that a really good episode for those folks. I don't know. Here's all I know is
you get one good kiss at the end.
When Jack died, the IMDb user ratings, which are completely unwatched or unwarranted, like they're not. I mean, they're just not supervised. Anybody can do what they want. So
who's editing on
super fans end up getting their say. When Jack died, the ratings tanked. When they had the love triangle, the IMDb user ratings started to go back up. When she chose Lucas, they went down to the 6s, like in between 5 and 7, somewhere in there. Now that she's with Nathan, they're back up in the 7s and 8s. Team Nathan is a more ardent fan base. They got what they wanted, and that's great for them, and I'm happy they get to see this courtship take place. But there's a television show you're supposed to be making, and this is barely qualifying as television. I just can't it's just brutal.
Let's get to all the feels. We were talking about what in this episode gave us feels. I believe Jax is back on the line, and she has her feels locked and loaded. Jax?
Okay, so I had all the feels when we found out that it's going to be Goldie National Park. I was like,
good God. Jax! No!
And of course, when Nathan made a little case for the medal, and he and Elizabeth had this moment. Also, I had sexy feels when Nathan came over to see Elizabeth when little Jack was asleep. Like, holy moly, like, it is heating up. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty spicy.
It is pretty spicy. And
I was not with her until that last one.
Yeah. It is spicy. And I think that this show is in an interesting place because it is for people that's more than anything else
based on a book written by someone that was very
we
very
want to see kissing and nothing else.
That's
and
right.
I think that this show and this episode in particular with that scene did as good of a job as you can do with making it basically it's like, oh, they're doing it right now.
Yes.
That's what it
yes.
Even though they're clearly not, if
heavily implied that what happened here was more than what you saw.
Yeah. And it's not. I don't think it is.
That's right.
You know, but they did a good job of pushing that feeling, and so I guess kudos to them. And it was that kiss at the end there. That was something. Damn.
Yeah, the last scene of this is very much, we've all talked about it, but I won't hear the park thing. I won't hear it. We'll talk about that later.
She made a face that made it seem like maybe it wasn't a good feel.
Maybe she was embarrassed even that she had the feel. But the last scene of this, which I guess every episode where nothing actually happens, they just do a scene at the end with Elizabeth and Nathan, and they hope you forget that nothing happened. But that scene is so the tension is palpable in that scene. The sexual tension is palpable in that scene. It's crazy. There's no world where they aren't going further than they went there, considering the history of these characters and how long they've been on and off courting. It's crazy. But my thing is even though that scene does work, and it's the only scene that I really think does work, no, it's the only scene that does work for me.
Okay.
It is no less than the 10th time they've done this. I'm going to lowball it.
Okay.
It's the 10th time they've ended an episode with Elizabeth and Nathan, usually at her house, either making eyes, making out, or having some sort of moment of tension or longing or something. At some point, you just can't go to that well anymore. I'm sorry. It is. They've made a living off of it for the better part of 4 or 5 seasons, Bran. So to continue to give that feels like it's earned is garbage. That's the thing is That's something that last season we'd have been like, oh, look at that. And the season before we'd be like, can you believe this? What are we? It's season 12.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll get to the Wait What, Hopes and Valleys, and What's Called My Heart. A lot still to come here on Deck the Hallmark. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We're talking When Calls the Heart Season 12, Episode 1. Let's get to the Wait What's. This is where we talk about what's in this episode. Made us go, wait, what? And I will start with you, Jax.
Okay, so both of my Wait What's have to do with the kids. Toby and Cooper.
I don't know who those
Love them. They're a gosh darn delight. But
Comic
is
book
it just
kids.
me, or have they grown up a lot since
Here we go.
the last season? I feel like they're in their same costumes, but like puberty has hit, and it's almost like they're fully grown men running around in those costumes. Again, wonderful actors. I love seeing them, but it was a little jarring. Okay, and then we have to talk about Allie and those flirting techniques. Clearly, she's learned more than just her school subjects from Elizabeth Thornton, because she's like using Elizabeth's flirting techniques. She's like, good things, like that kind of thing. I'm not doing it justice because she's doing it much better than I ever could. But what's going to happen between the two of them? Is he an appropriate age for her? Anyway, it was really cute. And it was very well done, but I was like, wait, what? How old is he? Who taught her how to flirt? How is she so good at it?
I mean, her being good at it was just debatable.
Well,
but Jax, that was great. That was a great little screen test from Jax.
That's right. Philo.tv/DTH.
Yes.
Because the audio, lots of eyes, lots of moving eyes.
Lots of moving
for
eyes,
those of you that
for
are just
sure.
listening. But
Absolutely.
Philo, we're on Philo.
Yes, we are.
I have a couple. One, listen, a different time. It's a different time.
It's a different time.
The 1920s. But when Nathan calls Elizabeth his best girl, it does make me think that there are other girls.
Yeah.
And I know
side pieces.
it's like a thing.
Can
like,
you imagine if Mountie Nathan had side pieces? We weren't official. We weren't official. You were with Lucas.
We were
weren't
on a break.
official.
My best is you're my best girl.
You're
And
my best girl.
it could change. Like, we'll see how
We'll
the
see.
season goes.
Currently in the rankings, you are best girl.
Currently your best girl. Also, it's a different time, but I, in 2025, have no desire for a park to be named after my children.
None.
And there's nothing about that potential.
It's one of the worst plot
and listen,
developments ever.
There's lots of parks in our area. It's one of the great things about Greenville is how many parks we have.
Great.
So
parks.
it's like not, maybe it wouldn't be special as having, this is going to be a big park, like a national park. My understanding, like big park. So maybe if you had a chance to name a national park after your children, maybe.
Yeah,
you'd be I guess.
I don't think one is a bargaining chip for the other.
Sure.
Like, I get it. Like, Rosemary's character would want a park named after her daughter.
Yeah, sure.
But her thing is, Lee, you cannot leave for all month long, basically, except on the weekends he'd be back. So basically the pitch is he's going to be gone to Capital City in this province that we all know the name of. We'll say on the count of three. 1, 2, 3.
Capital.
And you're going to be back only on the weekends. You can't do that. I don't want you to leave. You can't do it. I'm putting my foot down. You can't be gone that long. And then he says, well, they're going to name the park after Goldie. And she's like, well, I don't think that those are bargaining. I don't think that would fix the problem. Like, if he goes, hey, they're giving me $1 million and I don't have to work at all after this, fixes the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Or we're going to go on a 3-week vacation when I get back. Saying that they're going to name the park, I don't know. It was crazy how quickly she went from absolutely not to, well,
they're going to name the park.
I mean, they're going to name the park after my daughter.
My hands are kind of
tied. It's the least I could do. That's right.
Kind of tied. My last one is they're going to name a park after a baby. And and I understand that is the bargaining chip.
That's right.
but
both park themed.
like I can think of somebody who is more deserving of having a park named after them. Mountie Jack. We talked all episode about how he is a hero's hero.
He's amazing.
And-
I heard it no less than 1,000 times this episode.
Listen, I'm sure baby Goldie is a delight. Does not deserve the this, and it should.
The Jack
should
Thornton
go.
National Park makes a lot more
It
sense.
should go. It should be, and maybe they'll get there. But it seemed a little tone deaf to name the park after baby when a Mountie comes in from out of town and says, "Hey, we found his commissioner medal,
When we were digging
the
up his
highest,
corpse."
where he died for our freedom or whatever."
Yeah.
I don't know, but
He didn't die for their freedom.
it's hard to say.
Yeah.
But I'm still foggy on where he went and why. But at the very least, he died for them and he had the commissioner's medal. So definitely worthy of park. Baby Goldie, while great baby.
Great baby.
Still just baby.
Still just baby.
So it's tough. Dan?
The Mountie that comes in to give Elizabeth this news, and by news I mean medal, is in his bedroom at home, he has a picture of Nathan Grant with a bullseye around his face, and he is shooting holes in it all the time. He could not dislike Nathan Grant more.
Yeah,
and for
what
the
the heck
love
was
of
that
me,
guy's
I don't
deal?
know why. He starts by looking and going, "This is Mountie Jack's," and he looks right at Nathan and goes, "Not so easily replaced." Bro, F off. Like, dude, he didn't do anything to you. Why'd you do that? And then on the way out of town, I'm just gonna pull the pin on this grenade as I ride out of town. He rides by Nathan and goes, "Weren't you supposed to be leading the mission there?" What, dude, come on. What did Nathan Grant ever do to you? Like, he already is feeling all those feelings. And this Mountie is like, "I'm going to really dig the knife in here. I think I've come to town. I'm going to dig the knife in." And I know, and somebody in the comments just said it, I do think he has a history with Nathan. I think even if he has a history with Nathan, this is above and beyond mean, and it's crazy. Jack's touched on this earlier, Bram, but I do want to know who Elizabeth's students voted for in the 1920 election. Holy cow. I know there are only so many child actors in British Columbia, but please graduate these poor young adults. They are all living a full life with spouses and children and mortgages. Like, these children have been at this school since time began. I know they're bringing in some new recruits, but there are 6 or 7 kids in that schoolroom that have to be in their 20s. It's crazy. It's crazy. And you're teaching the same lessons every year. Please stop it right now. It is straining any credulity that this show actually has, or even credibility for that matter. Back to you, Brand.
Thank you. It's time for Hopes and Valleys. It's where we talk about things that are giving us hope for the future and or bumming us out. Jax, what you got?
Okay, my hopes and valleys for this season. I'm hopeful that Hickam and Macy were going to come back from their honeymoon and that we're going to get to see more of them. Please bring them back. Maybe even Kayla Wallace will waltz her way back into Hope Valley. It would be great to see them again. Also hopeful that Jack Wagner will be given a little bit more to do. I would like that. Please give him a mystery this season. I guess my valley is that this was a lovely start to the season, but it did feel a little bit slow, and I'm going to need a little bit more drama. So it's a valley that I think there might not be more drama, but I am cautiously optimistic for this season of When Calls the Heart, and incredibly excited to cover it with my buddies, Brandon and Dan.
Thank
and all
you.
of you. Hardies, people who don't watch,
All right, she's still there.
people who hate watch,
Two
people who
pepperoni
aren't quite Hardies but like still love it.
Farties.
It's a fun community, and hopefully we'll have a wild ride this season.
Thank you, Jax.
We're sure she's doing good. We got it.
Safe
She's
travels.
there you go.
There was my hope is that we're going to get a villain this season, and that villain is Lucas. And
Be cool.
there was, just a couple of tiny moments in this episode that made me think that maybe they're going that direction. And it all involves Rosemary and Lee. Rosemary at one point basically like questions the character of Lucas out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then Lee's kind of seeming like taken aback by the guy on the train. Like, hey, you're still dealing with this guy? Like, what's
Lucas has had to play more roles on this television program than anyone should be allowed to play. It's crazy.
And listen, it all makes sense. This guy was in love. He was engaged to be married, I believe. He was engaged.
Yes.
I don't know.
For a full season.
And it's a fever dream. And then is broken up with, and now he has to watch. And every day is just slowly spiraling out of control. And so the villain arc is there. It is primed, and it's just up to them to take it. So I'm hopeful that it's going to happen. Dan?
So my hope involves the Canfield daughter going to college at a college for students with visual impairment. I don't know how readily available that is in 1921. There were in the 1800s, there were 3 really great schools for the blind founded, and one's in Pittsburgh, one's in Boston. I've been to both of those, not been to the one in Connecticut. Those are the 3. But those schools in the Pacific Northwest being readily available in 1921 is crazy. Now this, When Calls the Heart has never pretended to take place in real history or time. But as someone who has some interest in that subject, education and, educating folks with visual impairments, I was fascinated by that. And I'm interested to see what they do with that, if anything, and how they treat it. Fascinated by that. My valley is literally just listen to my hot take, and I think you'll get it. It's pretty much everything else. And we did spend a lot of time with Nathan and Elizabeth, which meant we spent no time with Gowan or Jack Wagner, or no time with Maysu or Hickam. There's characters that are better that we got none of. So there's that.
We did it, everybody. Congratulations to us. It's time for the What's Calling My Heart. It's where somebody sends in an email about something that's bringing them joy, that's calling their heart, if you will. You can send in your email at hello@deckthehallmark.com, and Dan will read it. And before you turn it off because you think it's a chicken of the week situation, this is real.
Yeah, it does sound like a chicken of the week.
This is real.
This is a real email.
Yeah, chicken of the week is
also real, but sometimes it
different.
sounds like a bit.
Yeah.
This is real. It sounds real. It is real.
It's me, Tina.
It is not.
Here's what's calling my heart. No, we're not doing it.
No, we're not doing it. Tina's not here.
Sorry.
Actually, it is Tina. I'm just kidding. Wouldn't that have been crazy? No, this is from Sarah Wallace. Sarah Wallace. Hello, folks. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
This is Sarah here, and what's calling my heart is the enjoyment I get from listening to past episodes.
Oh.
I'm currently on season 9 of When Calls the Heart, and I watch every episode, and I quickly follow it up with your recap. I have quite the affinity for your seasons 8 and 9 recaps that were definitely all recorded months and months apart. Honestly, I don't even know if you still read What's Calling My Heart emails on the podcast anymore, but I'll find out in a few months when I catch up to your season 11 recaps. Oh, Sarah, this is season 12. Thanks so much for making me laugh out loud as I drive around and do chores. Keep it up, Sarah Wallace.
How about
Sarah
that?
Wallace, God bless
Sarah,
you.
do you listen to anything else we do, or are you
just a
When Calls the Heart? Let us know.
Yeah.
Send in a follow-up. I'd love to.
Send us a contact.
I would love to think that there's somebody out there that only listens to When Calls the Heart.
I'm sure
of
there
the
are,
show.
man.
I think that's fun. All right. Well, we did it, everybody. Congratulations, guys, to us and to Gus.
Gus, dude,
you did it,
you
buddy.
know what you did.
People didn't
Great job.
think
They
he
didn't
could.
think he could.
People
but Gus did.
said he couldn't do it.
All right, Gus.
And then we're back tomorrow.
Shout out.
Tomorrow is the way home, correct? Yes,
All
tomorrow
right.
Ryan will be joining us to talk about the way home. It's going to be a lot of fun, so come on back, will you? Until then, maybe the first to wish you a Merry Christmas!
Deck the Hallmark's a Bramble Jam podcast is produced by Aaron Shea. For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com. For more information on the Deck the Hallmark family, you can go to bramblejamplus.com. Deck the Hallmark is presented by Philo TV. For a free trial of Philo, go to philo.tv/DTH.